Welcome to today's class. We're going to be working with some back bending and side bending poses in our practice. And you'll want to have a couple of blocks or books nearby. We're going to start laying down on our backs with bent knees. So coming all the way down and then just taking a moment to arrange the body so you feel rather symmetrical here. You can keep both knees bent with feet on the mat and then take the feet out about as wide as your mat. Letting the thighs relax, the knees drift in toward each other. The legs are slightly rotating inward here. You may feel a little bit of release in the inner hips with that rotation. Arms can be stretched out away from your sides. Palms turned up. And then letting the eyes close. And take all of your attention to your feet. Feeling the soles of the feet. Lightly pressing down into the mat. And really not exerting any energy in the feet, but just feeling the contact there. The heels, the balls of the feet, the toes. Then take your attention to your hands. Feeling the contact of the backs of the hands on the floor. You might feel the knuckles touching the floor. Maybe the space around the wrist. Just sensing the contact of the backs of the hands against the floor. And bringing attention to the back of the head. Sensing the contact there, back of the skull, down against the floor. Feeling that point of connection. Then bring your awareness in toward your center. Sensing the plumb line that runs from the top of the spine all the way down through the lower spine to the sitting bones and tailbone. Keeping this focus on the midline of the body, start to sense your breath here. Letting your breath be as it is, with nothing to change or fix. And just allowing it to be. Taking a few more breaths here, sensing your center, sensing each breath. And then let your breath start to become a little bit deeper. And then let your release be even fuller with the exhale. Breathing in a little bit more air. And releasing more air on the exhale. One more time, feeling the inner body fill up. And then letting go, releasing fully. And then you can walk your feet in about hip width apart. And we're going to send just the right leg forward. So lengthening that right leg long, placing the heel down, but then engaging the right leg to pull the toes back. And then take your inhale to stretch the right arm up and back. So taking a moment here to lengthen, elongate, heel to hand. Breathing in here. And as you breathe out, bend the right knee, pull it in, and then curl the arm up, lifting the shoulders. Maybe your right hand taps the shin. Inhale, right leg lengthens, right arm stretches back. And with the exhale, bend the knee, hug it in, lift the head and shoulders, reach toward the foot. Inhale, lengthening, hand and heel reach out. And exhale, bend the knees, squeeze it in, and reach the hand up toward the foot. Inhale to lengthen. And with your exhale, keep your head and shoulders down. Just bend the right knee and bring your arm back by your side. With the inhale, we'll send the left leg forward. First, finding that length. So as you pull the toes back, you might feel a stretch in your ankle and calf. And then we'll reach the left arm up and back. And we're turning the left hand in so that the palm is in facing the head. Thumb is down toward the ground. We'll breathe in right here. And breathe out to bend the left knee, lift the head and shoulders, reach the arm forward. Inhale, stretching out long. Exhale to curl up, taking the knee in and hand forward. One more time, breathing This time we reach out long with the inhale. And with the exhale, shoulders and head stay grounded. Left foot comes in, left hand down to the mat. And then we're going to keep both feet on the ground, but make sure they are about hip width apart. The knees will stay bent, and we'll just place the hands right on top of the pelvis here. So the thumb is facing up toward the ribs, and the fingertips are pointing in toward each other. And then as we breathe in, we're going to press the sitting bone and tailbone down and lift the front of the pelvis. So we create a big curve in the lower back. And with the exhale, we hug the navel down toward the mat and flatten the curve. We'll do this a few times, starting to activate some of the abdominal muscles. Using the inhale to rock the pelvis forward, lifting the hip points up. And with the exhale, we take the hip points back and down, and the tailbone and sitting bones curl up. Inhale creates the lower back curve, and exhale flattens the curve. One more like this, and then we'll add on. Breathing into curve and breathing out to flatten. This time we'll inhale to create that curve. And with the exhale, the curve flattens. We'll keep that and use an in-breath to lift the hips slightly. It's going to be a slight lift here because it's early in our practice. So we want to keep the lower back long, taking one more breath in, and then with the out breath, we release mid back, lower back, and tailbone down to the floor. Again, breathing in to create the curve, breathing out to flatten the curve. Inhale, feet press down, hips lift. And exhale to lower all the way down. One more time, breathing into curve. Breathing out to flatten. Inhale, lifting the hips slightly. And exhale, lowering all the way down. And then we'll pick up both knees, take hands to the knees. And with the inhale, widen the knees apart, bringing the heels apart at the same time. And exhale, inner knees come back together. Inhale, feet widen, knees widen. And exhale back into center. One more time like this. And then we'll keep the knees together, rock all the way over to one side, and lift up to seated. And you can find your version of a comfortable seat. So if sitting with one shin in front of the other is comfortable for you, you can do that. And if not, maybe the seated diamond shape is good for you. And you could take blocks underneath the thighs. We're going to take hands or fingertips down to the ground. If you're using fingertips, make sure that pressing the fingertips down doesn't cause your shoulders to shrug up. So we want to keep the shoulders relaxed, which will mean taking a little bit of a bend in the elbows. And then see if you can press into the fingertips and lift the crown of the head a little bit higher. Belly is slightly drawing in so that the whole spine can be open and long here. We'll take one more breath here. And then keeping all this length, see if you can take your hands forward, maybe hands about in line with your knees. And so this will cause the chest to tip forward, but we're keeping a flat back here. You might stay here, or you might bring the hands even more forward to fold forward. Taking the hands forward feels like a bit much. You could also be up on blocks here, giving the hands a little bit more lift. Sending another deep breath or two into the backs of the hips and a bit into the lower back as well. And then we'll start to walk the hands back in to come up and turn to the right. So taking a real mild twist here, letting the left hand rest on the right knee. And sometimes what happens here is that the right hip crease pulls back and the left hip crease forward, but that ends up twisting the hips and pelvis a bit, which can be unhealthy over time. So we want to make sure that the hip creases stay perfectly even to the front of the mat, which might mean twisting a little bit less. Take your last inhale, lifting the chest a little bit more. And then with your exhale, release the right hand. We're going to turn the shoulders forward and reach the right arm straight up. And so the left hand might be a little bit heavier now on the right inner knee. We're not pushing the right knee down, but just giving a little bit of weight there as we extend up through the right arm. See if you can press down a little bit more through the right sitting bone. Inhaling here. And exhale, sweep the right arm all the way down. Take both hands down and back behind you to switch sides if you have the shins crossed variation. And now we'll take the left shin in front. So starting here with fingertips or hands on the ground, whichever feels better in your wrists. I tend to like fingertips. And then you can press the fingertips down. Make sure you have some bend in your elbows and lengthen up. Sometimes when we create this length, we tend to really press the chest forward, which doesn't actually help us get taller. So even as you lift up through the top of the head, we want to keep the front and backs of the shoulders open and broad. We're not pulling the shoulder blades together here. And then take the hands a little bit more forward, about in line with the knees. Starting to create that hinge in the top of the pelvis. Spine stays long, back is flat here. And then you might stay with this or extend the arms a little bit more forward to fold forward. Taking a moment here, taking a breath. And then we'll start to lift all the way up and turn to the left. Right hand rests on the left knee. Finding our mild twist here. And then bringing awareness right into the hips, making sure that they stay facing forward so that the rotation is coming from the mid and upper spine. And And as we turn the mid and upper spine, we stay supported through the lower back by hugging the belly in. So just like in our standing poses, we create that foundation for the upper body to be a little bit more mobile. And we're doing the same thing in our twist here. Then we'll turn the shoulders forward. Right hand can slide up to the inner left knee as we reach the left arm straight up. You might apply a little bit of pressure to the inner knee, just starting to open the hip. Maybe noticing if this shoulder feels different, if it's a little bit more open or a little bit more tight today. Sending some more heaviness into the left hip might let you get the left fingertips up a little bit higher. Full breath in. And with the out breath, take the left arm all the way down by your side. And we'll move into tabletop pose. So once you set yourself up here, you can move into a few rounds of cat and cow. Breathing in, letting the belly expand and widen as you look forward. And breathing out to round. Starting to move back and forth through this back bending and rounding motion. Take one more round. Then take a full breath in, finding your neutral spine. And with your out breath, press the hips back, lengthen the spine to your child's pose. Taking about 3 breaths here. Breathing in, rocking forward to tabletop pose. And then we're going to tuck both sets of toes under. Walk the hands back and lift up to stand on your knees. And I didn't mention it before, but if standing on your knees is uncomfortable, take a moment to grab a blanket or some other layer that you can lay underneath your knees so that your knees have a little bit of padding. We're going to take a breath in, reach the arms up, extending up high through the arms. And with the out breath, take the right hand down to the right hip, left hand stays high. You might keep your right hand on your right hip, or see if you can slide the right hand down to the right leg and send the left thumb back slightly. Hips stay pressing forward, breathing in. And breathing out, take hands back to neutral in front of the heart. Inhale, both arms rise. Exhale, left hand down to the left hip. Either staying here or maybe left hand to the left thigh, right thumb slightly stretches back. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands to the heart. Breathing in, both arms float up. And breathing out, land the hands down, tabletop pose. From here, we're going to take the hands forward, one hand print each. And then as you shift forward into your kind of half plank pose here with knees down, we're then going to lower the forearms down. So the forearms replace the hands. The hips will get a little bit lower once we lower the forearms down. Let's take one breath here, lengthening the sides of the waist. And then with the exhale, we lower the thighs, the hips, the belly into Sphinx pose. Taking a moment here to open up the upper chest. Breathing into the rib cage, feeling that widening with the inhale and contracting with the exhale. Breathing in here and breathing out. We'll start to lift the hips once again. We're going to come back up onto our hands and then tuck our toes under and find downward facing dog. So we'll take a moment here to get into the legs. You can pedal the feet a little bit, bending and straightening the knees. And then come back to two neutral legs. Breathing in, bending the knees and keeping the hips high. And then look forward toward your thumbs and slowly walk forward. Feet come up toward the hands. Heels land hip width apart. Taking a breath or two in our forward fold. And then bending the knees, we'll roll up to rise up. Head lifts up last. Shoulders relax down the back. And then we're going to turn forward here. I'm just going to turn, or you are forward. I'm going to turn this way so you can see a little bit better. We're going to breathe in and take both arms up. And then with the out breath, we'll take the left hand to the right forearm. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to tip over to the side. So the right hip presses out to the right and we ground equally into both feet, pressing into the inner heels especially. Inhale to lift back up, hands separate. And with the exhale, the right hand will hold the left forearm, creating length with the inhale and bending to the side with the exhale. Feet push down. Inhale to rise, both arms straight. And with the exhale, folding forward and down. Inhale, halfway lift, bringing the shoulders up in line with the hips. And with the exhale, folding down in toward the legs. Breathing in, rolling up to rise up. Shoulders lift, head lifts, and then we relax, mountain pose. So in your mountain pose, dropping in to find that plumb line through the body. A line that runs from the crown of the head all the way through the spinal column. And then breathing in, stretching both arms up high. As you breathe out, soften your knees, bend your elbows, and pull your elbows down, keeping the chest lifting. A little bit of a back bend here. We want to make sure that the tailbone is rooting down toward the heels. Breathing in, take both arms up, neutralize the spine. And exhale, fold forward and down, bending the knees as you lower. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold down. And you might want to bring fingertips to the ground, or you could use hands on blocks. We're going to step back with the right foot. And then lower the right knee down. Right toes will untuck here. And make sure that the left shin is a vertical column in your body on the front leg. From there, we're going to sneak the left foot back slightly, still keeping that vertical column, but just pulling the hips back as well. And then we'll lift up so that the shoulders come on top of the hips. Breathing in, we'll take both arms forward and up. And breathing out, circle the hands down to the hips and then point the elbows back. So creating a little back bend here in our lunge. You might stay with this, or you might interlace your hands behind your back. It's a little bit more for the shoulders. So just checking in with how each variation feels for you. And then see if you can breathe in and lengthen up before you tip back. Inhale, release the hands, find neutral, rest the hands on the leg, the left thigh. Pressing down into the left thigh, lifting the spine a little bit more. Inhale and exhale, hands release down. We'll tuck the right toes under, step the right foot forward, and land it next to the left. Inhale, halfway lift, back is flat. Exhale to fold. Hands to blocks or fingertips to the ground. We'll step back with the left foot and then lower the left knee down. So we find that vertical column in the right shin. And then sneak the hips back slightly. It's like an inch or two, not too much here. But making sure that we preserve the vertical line in the right leg. With the inhale, we'll lift up, resting hands on the thigh. And then bringing hands to hips. Elbows draw back. Checking in if this feels like enough. Or maybe interlacing your hands. Try to go for the opposite, interlacing. So opposite thumb would be on top. And then from here you might be able to open the upper spine a little bit more. Breathing in, we'll come back to hands on hips. And breathing out, hands rest on the right thigh. Making sure that you're on the thigh, not on the knee. We'll start to press down into the leg a little bit, finding that long line through the midline. Inhaling here. And exhaling, taking hands down to the blocks. We'll tuck the left toes and then step the left foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. Good. Taking the blocks away to ground the hands down, we'll step back to downward facing dog. Breathing in, rocking forward to plank pose. And exhale, knees down, elbows bend to lower all the way down. Legs extend back straight behind you. And then we'll take the arms straight back as well. Palms will be facing down to the ground. And we're pushing the hands and the tops of the feet into the floor. Inhale to lengthen, feet to the top of the head. And then we'll find a little bit of lift. Pulling the shoulder blades together, taking a breath or two here. Feeling that, yes, it is a little more challenging to breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling, releasing all the way down. We'll land the hands down underneath the shoulders, elbows are bent. Pressing up to all fours. And then back, child's pose. Inhaling to rock forward. And exhale to tuck both sets of toes under. We're going to take the right foot straight back, lifting the right knee. And then take the left toes off to the left side of the mat as we roll open to the right. Right hand comes up to the right hip. Right foot is grounded down. And then depending on how things feel, you might stay here, or you might take the right arm all the way up and overhead. So the upper arm is alongside the ear, and now the palm is rotating down toward the floor. Big full body side bend. Inhaling here, and exhaling, circling the right arm all the way back down to the floor. Planting it down and then bringing the right knee down. For the second side, we'll bring the right toes out to the right. Lengthen the left foot back. And then roll the left foot down so it's all grounded. Left hand comes up to the left hip. And maybe staying here or reaching the right arm overhead. We keep the bottom ribs, the right ribs, lifted away from the ground. And send another breath or two through the left side body, rolling the left side of the chest and left shoulder open. Inhale, bring the left arm all the way back down, full circle as you lower. Planting the left hand, planting the knee, and then rocking back, child's pose. As you breathe in, come forward to tabletop. Take your feet around to one side. And we're going to lower down to our backs, but make sure that you have one block within arm's reach. And once you lower down, we're going to place the block, the smallest part of the block will be in line with the upper thighs. So the thighs are going to squeeze the long sides of the block, and you'll see the block at the narrowest position from your position. And then start to squeeze the legs into the block so you feel the thigh muscles turn on and a bit into the lower belly as well. We'll bring the arms down by our sides and then press into the feet for a little bit more expansive bridge pose. So pushing especially into the heels as we lift up with the hips, making sure that there's no compression in the neck or the lower back. Taking another breath here. And then we'll slowly roll down, starting with the upper back, moving through the low back, and then fully releasing the spine down. You might choose to take another active bridge pose, just like this, keeping the block where it is. And if you'd like to take that version, you could start now, pressing into your feet and lifting the hips. If you'd like a little bit more of a relaxing bridge pose, you could lift your hips just enough to slide the block underneath the hips, and then let the hips rest down. You're in the more active bridge pose, you can slowly start to release. And then once your hips have landed, you'll bring the block away. So taking the block away from the inner thighs and keeping knees bent, feet on the floor. Experiencing the effects of the back bend pose. If you're in the restorative version, you'll push into your feet and then remove the block and lower the hips all the way down. So we're all arriving with bent knees to meet together. And then reach your arms out wide, either straight arms or bent elbows. We're going to extend the right leg and then lift the left foot and left knee, lightly hugging the thigh in. And then we'll take the left leg over to the right. Breathing into the lower spine now. Feeling the belly move as you breathe. All of our side bending and back bending work has probably made room for some more expansive breaths. So let yourself enjoy this. Let your body and mind benefit from this new space. And then we'll lift the left knee. Left foot lands on the mat. And then we'll straighten the left leg as we bend the right knee. So left leg becomes straighter, and then we lift the right foot. And then send the right leg over. Bringing the right knee back up. Right foot comes to the mat, and then the left foot. And then taking a moment to adjust, to find center again in your body. You might need to adjust the shoulders or the hips a bit. And then we'll move to final relaxation pose. So letting the legs become straighter. That feels right in your lower back and hips. Relaxing through the shoulders. And as you settle in here, sensing the support that the entire spine has here. Maybe noticing the increased space, the depth of breath. And letting yourself enjoy this time to rest. Begin to breathe a little bit longer and deeper. Inviting some easy movements back to your fingers and toes. Maybe choosing to lengthen your arms and legs into a stretch. Or taking the option to reach your arms overhead. If you're ready, you can bend your knees, taking feet to the mat and then knees into the chest. And then when you're ready, rolling over to one side, pressing up into a seat, letting your eyes close. Taking a moment of awareness, recognizing how this practice has served you and helped you. Also taking the time to thank yourself for showing up, for doing the work, and taking care of yourself. Together we'll breathe in, reaching the arms out and up, taking hands to meet and lower to the heart. The goodness in me sees and honors the goodness in you. Namaste. All right, everyone. Thanks for your practice.